So we've seen that a more convenient way, a more practical way of determining what a machine can do for you is this relationship right here. So what is the MA? Mechanical advantage. And that's what machines are all about. Basically, and 98% of machines, maybe it's actually 95, but anyway, the vast majority of machines are really designed to give you more force out than what you put in. We'll talk about those other 5% of machines that do the opposite. You actually get less force out than you put in, but we'll talk about that later. You get actually more distance. So, but for this case, most machines, the goal is to get more force out than what you put in. And in general, since most people don't carry around force sensors and things, the most convenient way, the more practical way, is to get the ratio of input distance to output distance. All right, so what I have here are 6 machines, drawings of 6 machines, and we're going to go through them and think about how would you measure D in and D out for these various machines. Okay, so let's just go to the generic, like I don't even know what this thing is, but I do know that when I pull this down some distance, which I'm going to call D in, I see that the output side goes up by an amount of D out. So even if you really don't know the guts of the, you might be saying like, I don't even know what to call this thing. It's okay, because it doesn't matter what the name of the machines really isn't important. It's basically recognizing that this is what's important, okay? All right, so this is how you would do a generic machine. All right, let's suppose this was 1 meter. We've already done this in the last video. 1 meter, and this was 0.1 meter. What's the mechanical advantage? The mechanical advantage would be D in over D out. Your distance in, you pull down 1 meter, this thing goes up 0.1 meter, you get 10. So that just means ideally, you would get 10 times more force out than what you put in. Okay, you've already done a pulley, but let's just review. Okay, so a pulley system, another name for these is block and tackle, but just a pulley system might have just a single pulley, but let's suppose that it goes around and we don't even know, oh my gosh, look, it goes around, 8 times or whatever, 4 times. It's going to go around some multiple time. How would you get the mechanical advantage of this? Well, basically, what you're going to do is you're going to pull out, and I don't want to really use the word out because it's, you're going to pull a certain amount of rope through the pulley system, and when you're doing that, you're going to be carefully watching, and you're going to see that the hook or the load and this part's going to go up. So when you pull rope through the pulley, this is your D in, and the amount that the load goes up, you can think of it, the hook, the load, whatever you're doing here, this is going to be your D out. Okay? So let's do an example here. Suppose that when you pull 5 meters of rope through the pulley system, that this thing goes up by, I don't want to make the math too hard. Let's just make it 1 meter, kind of boring. 1 meter. Okay, what's the mechanical advantage of this pulley system? Well, the mechanical advantage of this pulley system is going to be D in over D out. And our input distance was 5 meters. Our output distance was 1 meter. And so you get 5. So this pulley system would give you 5 times more force than what you put in. Okay, let's move on to the wheel and axle. Again, you've already looked at that, but let's just review. So these things do have names, but the names, I don't really care about the names. I care about, can you tell me the mechanical advantage? All right, so these things, I know when you think about, when I think about wheels and axles, I think about, like cars and things rolling. Well, this really isn't what we mean by that. Although there that does apply there, but I want you to think much more broadly than just about like things rolling around, because every doorknob you've ever twisted is a wheel and axle. If you've ever been driving, if you've ever driven a car, or and you can imagine if you haven't, just somebody driving a car, the steering wheel, when you turn the steering wheel, when you turn the steering wheel, it turns the steering column. Okay, so these are all over the place. Okay, they're actually all over the place. Anything that you rotated. So basically, when you rotate something large to make something of a smaller diameter turn, that falls under a wheel and axle. So this could be a doorknob. A doorknob. Okay, so your input distance really is like how far you go around, and then the output would be, well, how far does this thing rotate? So that's your output distance. But that's hard to kind of measure. So it turns out there's actually a much, much easier way to do that. And to keep this video kind of short, I want to keep it less than 10 minutes. You can just be shown. All right, I'll do it real quick here. No, I can't do it real quick. But basically, maybe in some other video we'll do it. But it turns out that if you measure this diameter, which I'm going to call the in diameter, if you just measure that diameter and you measure, okay, I know that's not the diameter because it doesn't go right through the middle, but if you measure this guy, we're going to call the out diameter, you get the right ratio. And it has to do with the fact that the circumference, basically. It all comes down to like the circumference of a circle is pi times diameter, or 2 pi times the radius. So basically, for a wheel and axle, it's really easy. The mechanical advantage is going to be the outer, is that how you spell outer? I don't know. Outer diameter, I think so. Of course it is. Outer diameter divided by the inner diameter. Okay, in general we have these wheel and axles because think doorknob, okay? You turn something large with a certain amount of force, and it turns out you get more force out. And think about it, so if you ever taken a doorknob off of a door, it's really, really hard to get the inside mechanism to turn because you can't generate enough force. That's why we have these big knobs. So this is a wheel and axle. It's really, the result is very simple. It's just outer diameter divided by the inner diameter. All right, the next one is the ramp. Okay, so basically what is the job of a ramp? The job of a ramp is to take something that's down low and to get it up somewhere high. Okay, so this one, basically, the mechanical advantage of a ramp is you have to think about what's the job of the ramp. What is the ramp allowing us to do that we can't do without it? And basically, it's really not about getting the ramp. It's not about getting the box from over here to over in this area. It's all about getting the box from this level up to this level. So you exert a force. This is the input force. I know we're not going to talk about input force too much, but basically, while you're doing that, the ramp essentially is pushing up. So this is your output force. Basically, the ramp is basically there to help you raise it. Okay. All right. So basically, here you go. You're going to exert your force along or up this ramp, and so this is going to be your input distance. What does the ramp accomplish for you? Basically, it has raised whatever you're lifting from the low level up to the high level. So this is actually your D out. Okay, so let me just draw that real quick here. Okay, so this is your input distance, this guy, and your output distance is this. All right, output distance is that. Okay, moving on. Actually, we're just going to stop this video and we'll do the last couple here in a separate video. Bye.